All right, we are live. Good morning. What is up? I see some people in the chat already. What's up, Andrew?
Good morning, Richard.
Yeah. Where are you guys watching from this morning? I see Jet, Heather already in the chat. Good morning, y'all. Today's topic, we're going to be talking about this four-letter F word that keeps people in debt. It keeps people in a lot of problems. Debt is just happens to be one of them and the focus of this channel. So really wanted to spend some time on that one on this morning's show. So hope you guys have a nice hot drink, like a coffee or tea, and we'll hop into the four-letter F word, which is the word fine. Everything's just fine. Can't tell you how many people I've talked to that don't change the terrible results they get in their life. We'll deal specifically with money in this one, but don't change the terrible results they get in their life with their financial situation because they think it's just fine. You ever see those credit card statements that just say, hey, just make this payment, everything will be just kind of like fine?
Well, they don't use those words, but yeah.
They don't use those exact words, but the marketers have been clever about, structuring the documents to comply with, law, so that they do disclose what needs to be disclosed in the appropriate font. I don't think it's big enough. I think it should take up at least half the statement, but somewhere on there, it's like, hey, if you owe, your $7,000 and you've been carrying this balance for 12 months, just keep making this minimum monthly payment. You'll be fine, basically. And we've talked to a lot of people. I mean, like one of the exercises that I used to start to notice after a while, I got a video here that I'm going to drop in the chat for you guys to watch afterwards because I did this back in 2014. It's got like almost 70,000 views on it on the channel. It's a much older one. But a lot of people would inquire and they'd be struggling with what they got. They might have 20, 30, 40, 50, $100,000 in debt. And, you talk about some remedies to that potential problem. But I think people are creatures of habits and they wouldn't do anything, even though they'd be a good candidate and the solution would get them out of debt within a few years or relatively quickly anyway. And then you hear from them again in 8 months, 16 months, 30 months. They keep coming back because they look for, they go looking for answers that don't exist. What's your experience been with people thinking that, everything's just fine for them?
Well, you just said it. We get regularly inquiries from individuals that have inquired in the past. I think I heard one of our consultants speak to an individual probably about 2 weeks ago, maybe it was, and the individual inquired 9 years ago for help. And if I remember correctly, the consultant told me that they had $30,000 when they inquired 9 years ago. Now it's $44,000 or $45,000 9 years later. And the consultant tried to advise them, hey, listen, you did inquire 9 years ago looking to eliminate your debt. You didn't actually move forward with eliminating your debt. You now got a little bit extra debt. We could have got you out of debt 5 years ago because our plans are generally 4 years in length. So we could have had you out of debt 4 or 5 years ago with no more obligation to monthly payments. And unfortunately, that individual still thought it was fine. They said, oh, well, I'm still looking at options and I'm still thinking about what I need to do here. And, it was a scenario where they didn't want to move forward with eliminating their debt with our program, and not sure if they've done anything about it. But given their trend, I would have think that they're sitting on it thinking that it's fine, and they'll get to it at some point in the future when they think that it's not fine. So it happens regularly with us. We see these types of re-inquiries on a regular basis. Now, the 9-year example I just gave you was probably the most extreme one we've seen. It's usually...
You know what the math is on that? I just did it.
Oh, on the monthly payments that they've made? Go on,
Yeah.
Share it.
Okay, so if you're paying the minimum required monthly payments per the card members agreement, which usually averages about anywhere from 1.5% to 2.5%, so let's just average it about 2%. You think 2% is reasonable?
2% is the deal, yeah.
So over the course of 9 years, they paid $82,080 in minimum monthly installments over the course of the 9 years, and still have pretty much the same amount of debt that they had when they started out with. Had they enrolled 9 years ago, they would have been out of debt, probably $38,000. They would have been done for like less than $25,000 within 3 years.
Yeah.
And had a sparkling clean credit rating by this time. What do they have now? They've got $82,000 they threw out the window. They got nothing to show for it. Still the same amount of debt. See, this is where the credit card companies want people. They want people thinking things are just fine. Just do what you've been told, like the good little sheep that you are, and everything will be fine. And it's okay because there's no real pain, right? The thing with debt is there's no real pain. As long as you're the good little sheep that they want you to be and you make your minimum monthly installments and you throw the good money after the bad, trying to chase an exit based on what you've been told your entire life, which is really just societal programming that's lying to you. This is what a lot of people do. And it's not always 9 years. Sometimes it's a few years. Sometimes it's even longer. But it's a common thread, yeah?
Yeah. Oh, it totally is. And when you said there's no pain, there's no physical pain. There's no doubt about that. But there's a lot of pain dealing with that type of scenario for 9 years. Just imagine the conversations between the adults in that household, you know, the husband, the wife, whatever it might be, discussing money problems. Oh, we have to borrow this. We don't have any money for that. We can't pay for this for the kids. All that because of the credit card debt that they've had for 9 years, or even who knows how long they've had it for before they even inquired the first time around. Like we only knew about the inquiry 9 years ago. They might have been carrying it for a few years prior to that. So there's no physical pain, but just imagine the mental anguish that they deal with on a regular basis because of the debt. And that's what debt does to people. And that's why being fine is not what you want to do. You don't want to be fine. You want to be better than fine. You want to be a lot better than fine. So it's just a vicious cycle like we discussed before. And you're talking about the credit card statements and whatnot. I have one in front of me from this month, and the balance on the card is $2,000. And it says if I made the minimum payments on the $2,000, it would take 16 years to clear off. Just $2,000, 16 years. So you can see that
and that's assuming that you don't charge anything new, you don't have any late penalties, you don't do any cash advances, you just continue with the identical behavior of just throwing your minimum installments.
Yeah, so $2,000 would take you 16 years according to the credit card statement. And that's just one tiny example, because $2,000 credit cards are usually few and far between. Credit cards are usually $5,000 to $10,000 from what we've been seeing. So it's just carrying those balances is not what you want to do, and being fine is not what you want to do. You want to address your issue, and to do it, there are options available to those people that are looking for to get their credit back into check and get the debt eliminated. And we obviously offer that service that can help people out to do that.
Yeah, and I want to talk about a personal story that I'm going to share. There's a video I'm going to link towards the end. I just want to acknowledge some of the guys that have chimed in the chat, because I said, hey, what's up? Where are you guys watching from? We got Newtonville, Indiana, UK. It's interesting. We got a lot of people around the world. Heather, one of our regulars. How can there be a downvote before the show even starts? Well, Heather, there's always a hater out there. They watch everything we do, but they still hate us. That's usually a good sign, though. It means that we're doing something right. So I'm going to grab this and I'm going to link it in the chat. I'll drop it in the pinned comment after the video, but just open this up in another window if you're on a browser. Just leave it in our chat and open it after the show ends. But I did this video in 2014, what keeps people in debt, this four-letter F word. It's a bit of a longer video. I'm not going to play the whole thing because it's like almost 10 minutes long. But to sum it up, I've had things in my life that I thought were just fine, that I would subscribe to, that my subconscious, even my conscious, just recognized as just tolerable. And like, I think that with humans, we like painkillers more than we like vitamins. Like, we like taking painkillers more than we like taking vitamins, right? Most people don't live a particularly healthy life. They don't take, the necessary nutrients into their body. It's only when they start to experience dis-ease in their body. And by the way, that word dis-ease is an interesting one when you kind of break it up that way, but it's only when they experience disease in their body that they'll go looking for painkillers. And that's when they'll spend the money and they'll start looking for solutions to it. And the interesting thing about credit card debt is it's been structured and manufactured in such a way that it's designed to be uncomfortable, but not painful to the point where you need to take the painkiller, where you need to go get the prescription meds or take the Tylenols or whatever. More people respond to problems in that way than they do to prevent them. That's why they sell way more prescription medications than they do vitamin C tablets, right? So I've left that in the chat there. I think that covers that for this broadcast. There's really not a whole lot we got to dive into this one. I think it's pretty straightforward, and I know that Andrew and I like to keep these clean and tight as far as what the discussion pieces look like. Do you want to close with any thoughts, Andrew?
Not really. Just the topic itself hits it on the head. Just being fine. People really need to consider their circumstances and their situation, and if they think that they're just getting by, that is the definition of fine, and that's not what you want to do. You want to excel. You want to be better than just fine, and in order to do that, you need to take control and change your habits. You need to change your game plan. And if you're carrying debt, doesn't matter how much debt it is. It can be $10,000, it can be $100,000, but if you're carrying that debt, you think you're surviving and you're making it through, that's the definition of fine. You need to do something about it if you're not eliminating it. So think about your options. Go online, do your research. If you need help, give us a call. We're here to help people out. That's what we do. We've been doing it for 15, 16 years, and we can get that definition of fine eliminated for you and get you on a path of being great. Simple.
So it's right over here, guys, on the screen. If you want to, I mean, it's not a clickable link, but you can just go to Total Debt Freedom. I've also dropped it in the chat, and I'll pin it in the top comment. The litmus test, generally speaking, is if you're making monthly installments to a debt that is not reducing, and you've been doing it for a good period of time. You define what that is. Maybe it's 6 months, maybe it's 6 years. I don't know. But if you've been doing it for a good period of time and you're ready to, change your course and your path, fill out the form and you'll get a quote. You've got to be in Canada. We cover most of the provinces with the exception of Alberta. But if our solution is a good fit, we'll structure it. If it's not, we'll make a recommendation for something that might work better for you. But don't go looking around for the cheat codes to life. I mean, there's no fast, easy way out of debt. There's no, if you've already got 30 grand in debt at 30% interest, you can borrow it out and pay less at a lower interest rate over a faster period of time. They don't exist. It's a jagged little pill you got to swallow. But once you clean it up, it's easy. But yeah, we'll leave it at that. We'll be back next Saturday, 9 a.m. Eastern. I hope you guys enjoyed this brief broadcast. Guys, there's things in life right now that you've been saying are just fine when they're not. It might be financial issues. It might be your knees talking to you when you're climbing up the stairs because you're carrying too much body weight. Do something about it. It's your intuition talking to you. It's your body. It's your intuition. It's you talking to yourself, letting you know there's something that's got to be done. Hope you guys enjoyed this morning's show. We'll see you on the next one.
Take care, guys.